Laura, welcome to the Scenic podcast. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad this is working out because we had some tech issues because Mercury fucking retrograde. So,
You know,
and
it 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 comes to shake shit up,
I
like whatever needs to
yeah.
be unraveled shall be unraveled.
Oh yeah. And I was even bragging to Laura, like, oh, I'm usually not so much affected with tech shit on Mercury retrograde. And Mercury was like, bitch, please.
And then your microphone stopped and it's a
And
whole thing.
everyone was like, what? What's going on? But I've cleansed my space. We've recentered ourselves. We're like, take this, Mercury, and we're getting the show on the road. And I'm really excited to talk about something that is, I don't know, I often say this, and it comes after the realization you have done work on yourself. Your thoughts shape your actions and what you believe. And still, some days you're like, I'm my worst fucking enemy.
Yeah.
So, how can we get the fuck out of our own way, Laura?
Well, it's that's a big question.
I know. I know. We're not chick chatting here. Like we're going deep fast.
I mean, that's how I roll. So, I mean, it's the premise of what I teach, right? Is about getting out of your own way. And there's just so many pieces and facets to it, right? And I
Mm,
think that one of the most important things and the thing that's running front and center in my soul to share with you right now is just this deep sense of awareness of self. And I
mm.
know that like you've probably heard that a million times. If you're listening, you're like, yeah, I know, I get it, awareness. But are you actually? Are you actually? Because to know about awareness and to practice awareness are two very different things. And what
Oh,
I
want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So, to know about awareness, like, oh yeah, I need to think about my thoughts. I need to notice myself. I need to,
Hmm.
recognize my time and what I'm doing and how I'm investing my time and energy and how I'm
Yeah.
feeling. Like I know I need to do those things. Okay, we
Mm,
we all have access to like 8 billion tools that we don't use. And this is another one of them, right?
yeah.
Whereas to practice awareness is actually to get still and actually
Mm,
notice it. And I think that that's one of the biggest pieces that a lot of people push back
mm.
on is the stillness, the pause, the like, hold on a second, right? The reflection, the just really, truly,
Um,
actually stopping for a second and acknowledging what am I saying to myself? What am I
um,
hearing right now? What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? Like, really, truly noticing yourself so that you get back into your conscious mind so that you know how to shift and choose something different moving forward. And that's what I
mm,
mean about practicing awareness. Like,
mhm,
you listen, I'm telling you, if you want to change anything in your world,
mm.
you've got to start with awareness because without that, it's very hard to make conscious decisions that lead you
Yes.
down the right path. So
Yes.
without it, it's hard to change anything.
Agreed. It all starts with recognizing where you're at. Um, so how come we feel so much resistance when it comes to being more still, being more quiet?
Yeah. Well, I tell people all the time and I get all kinds of I really get people going on the internet when I make videos when I say this. The thing that you want the most is
Mhm.
often behind the thing that you resist the most. I'll say it again.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
ooh,
welcome.
we're dropping like the Pinterest quotes already, like 2 minutes in. Oh dear. Okay.
The thing that you want the most is often behind the thing that you resist the most.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're resisting getting still, there's some information in there for you, my friend. And why do we
Mm.
resist that stillness? Why do we resist pausing? Well, one, it's not your typical go-to, right? So it's asking you to do something new. And anytime we
Mm.
change things, our mind, our bodies, our routines tend to kind of freak out a little bit like,
Mm.
oh, I need to do this is not how we do things, and I need to get back to what I was doing, right? There's also a lot of societal pressure to keep going,
Yes. Yes.
go, push.
Hustle
hustle,
culture. Yes.
keep going, right? Like there's a lot of
I mean,
pressure with that.
and I feel especially, I don't know, I say our generation, I have no idea how old you are, but I mean, just kind of like we're probably
I'm
more or less,
39. 39.
yeah, there you go. Same, 39. Turning the big 40 this year.
Yep.
I 1984 babies in the
Yes.
house.
Woo,
Woo woo.
woo. Also,
Okay,
how the
sorry.
hell? How the
Oh
hell
God,
did that?
how the hell did that happen? Well, anyway, going back, I feel, and this is also true for a lot of my friends. So that's why I was wondering. We grew up as like with my parents raised me to not be a quitter.
Yeah.
Like you don't quit, whatever the hell. Like if you have two broken legs, you still finish that race. And it's
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's a lot of training, right? We
Mm,
we were raised to believe that we have to keep going, we have to push, we have to grow. Like that's just the generation that we were raised in. But for any generation, right, there's always these societal or family or relationship type of influences that have taught us that we have to do things one way or the other. And to get still, to be quiet, to pause, kind of goes against what everybody has been taught since like the dawn of day.
mm,
And so it just kind of feels unnatural. And especially, if we're talking, even to women, even furthermore, like just this expectation and the pressure, and I'm in charge of things and people rely on me. And if I don't do this, then the shoe's going to drop, and like all this
yeah.
pressure that there's this
It brings a lot of mom guilt.
mom guilt. Yep, absolutely. Shame. Like, so it's just not a natural thing for people
Mm.
to pause, but it can be,
Or it
right?
is, or it probably is a natural thing, but it has kind of like been
Well,
trained out of us, right? Like
yes, yes,
we don't have
yes.
to like learn something new to pause. We just have to like decondition or untrain certain
we have
shit things.
we have to unlearn all the shit that we've
Mm,
been taught to get back to who
mm,
we've always been in the
yeah.
first place. Yeah. So there's a lot of
Right.
different
Love this for
factors.
us.
Yeah. There's a lot of different factors as to why we don't stop. But I'm
Mm,
here to tell you that, like, if you don't, no one's going to come do that for you. Right. If you truly want to start to get out of your own way, to make
yeah.
positive shifts in your world, positive shifts that are sustainable and real, by the way, not this quick win bullshit, not this overnight, I fixed everything. Like, I don't teach quick fixes, right?
Yes.
Like, getting
Love
out of your
this.
own way is not a flip of the switch. It just doesn't happen. And
Mm-mm.
anybody that teaches you
Mm,
that is full of horseshit. So you have to, it's this continuous showing up and asking yourself and really putting yourself in the position to pause and to feel it and to understand it and to notice it
mm,
over and over and over again until it just becomes second nature. And
mm.
eventually it will. But that
With
discomfort,
practice and consistency and all the things, all the
right?
boring things that will not sell.
It will be uncomfortable until it's not. But that's the work, right? You hear about people talking about doing the work. This is one of those things. You have to be willing to show up for yourself
Yeah.
and do something different.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the Enneagram 7 in me who immediately goes like, I mean, I'm doing the work, but it's always like, why cannot the work be fun? And I mean, it is to some extent, but it also, a lot of times it's not fun. So I'm like, I just want it to be fun.
Yeah,
Being the whiny bitch baby.
it's it's a whole thing, right? Like, I mean, what's the alternative? Is what I like to
Oh,
ask
yeah.
people.
Oh, yeah. Mm,
What's the alternative? If you clearly, if you're on a path of doing some type of work, or you're shifting something, you're listening to this right
yeah.
now, there's something that's kind of unsettling inside of you that's wanting to be moved,
Mm,
shifted, learned, grown,
yeah.
right? So what's the alternative? I like to say, choose the temporary discomfort that ultimately frees you,
Yeah.
instead of the perpetuating discomfort that keeps you in the same cycle.
Yes. And I truly, and I mean, I've had this happen to me with a couple of, like, in a couple of instances when you're like, okay, I'm not ready to to learn this right now. It will show up in a slightly different form just another time. And not saying you always have to like take everything head on. If right, if truly right now is not the time, fair enough, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to unravel yourself every
No,
day.
and it no, and that's the thing, like this type of journey and getting out of your own way and healing and growing and stuff. Listen, you've got to give yourself time to let shit integrate, right?
Mm,
Like you've got to have time
yeah, it's
to
no
actually,
race on top of like self-awareness mountain or something.
yeah, you've got to practice the things that you're learning, right? Like you can't
Mm,
just pause and feel your feelings for 3 days and expect the life to change. You've got to give yourself time to really integrate this stuff
yeah.
and also to take breaks from it. Like you don't have to heal every day. I mean, unless that's the part of the journey that you're on. And if that aligns with you, then do that. But, just give yourself some time and grace that it is a process and things do and will show up when they're supposed to.
Yeah. I want to I feel like called to circle back to what I said about the resistance and how it's more of like a guide rather than like a problem per se or like an obstacle or some sort. So how can we let's look into what understanding our resistance, what this can look like. What what kind of I don't know, are there any common signs of resistance that people often overlook or kind of like misinterpret and not really take as resistance? I mean, it's not, I mean, the obvious thing is obviously like, oh, I just don't want to do this. And you kind of like avoid it. But are there others? I'm curious.
Yeah. I mean, avoidance came top of mind, right?
Yeah.
Avoiding things, procrastination,
Yeah.
um, yeah, pretending like something is not there, getting excited or interested about something, but then kind of talking yourself out of it as well.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, continuously like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, but then you just never quite seem to get to the point where you're actually doing it, that kind of stuff. Because,
Oh, okay. So the
because
eternal hype girl.
yes, because resistance can teach you one of two things. It can each,
Mm,
it's like a blinking light. It wants to give you information. So if you're met with resistance, I want you to again pause and just evaluate this a little bit and really feel into, am I resisting this because it's out of alignment and I don't really actually want this, but I feel like I have to or I should? Or
the shoulds.
the
Yeah,
shoulds?
the shoulds.
Or am I resisting this because I actually do really want this, but there are some underlying thoughts, fears, beliefs, or habits that are preventing me from actually moving forward towards it?
Mm,
So it's not a singular path, but resistance can really tell you a whole lot. So for I'll just use a small example.
yes,
So
please.
I quite enjoy taking a walk in my neighborhood, right? I like
Mm-hmm.
being outside, it feels good, it's nice. And I know that I love walking, but I will resist walking. And
Mm,
I'm like, okay, I know that I like doing this. I know that it's healthy for me. I know that I
mm-hmm.
always feel better after I do it. So what the fuck is my problem? Why am I resisting the thing that I
Mm-hmm.
actually really want? Well, if I just sit with it for a second and look at it, I don't want to get uncomfortable, meaning this couch is pretty darn comfortable. I'm happy
Mm-hmm.
just kind of sitting here. It might be raining. I start talking myself out of it, right? Like there's all these different reasons where I might not want to, even though I know that it's something that's really good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, if if you ask me to go for a run, I'm going to resist that for a whole different reason. And that would be because I don't want to run. That doesn't interest me at all. That physically is painful for me. I don't enjoy it at all. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to resist that. And my job there is to just own I'm not a runner. So therefore I
Mm,
will not run instead of like, well, I should do this and I running would be better and trying to talk myself
mm,
into it, right? So
mm,
kind of a simple basic explanation, but just to see it in context, like
mm,
you have to really think about, do I actually really want this?
mm,
And if I don't, can I just decide that that's okay that I don't want it? Versus, okay, I do actually really want this. What
yeah.
is that block in between? What is the resistance trying to tell me?
Ooh, this is such a good point. Like we often feel that we have to do certain things in order to get some kind of permission to see ourselves in a different way. Like, oh, I should run more. So, I don't know, I'll look better, or whatever kind of weird thing your brain is cooking up. And it's often just a weird mix of, I mean, there are a gazillion different ways how you could move your body. And it's just really interesting being curious and why you're so fixating on this. What do
Right.
you tell yourself that when you force yourself to go for a run, what do you tell yourself? Like, what's the story that plays? It's just really being just being curious, because you could go for a swim, you could walk, you could box, you could do whatever kind of shit you want to do.
Yeah,
You get so
exactly.
fixated on certain things, and it's interesting to kind of explore why is this fixation happening in the first place? Where is it coming from?
Yeah, and it happens in gosh, every aspect, right?
Mm,
If you're talking about in business, you might have resistance to putting together a certain offer. You might
mm-hmm.
have resistance to a certain price point. If you're in a traditional career or job, that might look like I have resistance to wanting to move up in the company
Yeah,
because
ask
like
for a pay
there's
raise
something in
or
there, right? Like, so I mean, it can show up. It could be resistance with going out with a group of friends, right?
mhm.
Like, there resistance can show up in literally every aspect of your life, and the real question is am I trying to force myself to do something that I don't actually want to do, or am I stopping myself from doing something that I really want?
Mm. What how can we, if someone feels unsure which side they're leaning on? I know it's very, like, you need to know yourself to kind of like know. Are there questions or that uh, we can ask ourselves to kind of like help us figuring this out? Or is this like where in your like a somatic experience, where in your body you're feeling certain things? Like, is there a way to kind of like help us distinguish?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best things that you can do for yourself is envision yourself
Mm,
in the scenario in
mm-hmm.
which you're resisting. So
Mm.
actually
You see yourself
steps,
running.
yeah, well, that could be one of them, right? Envision yourself going for that run. How does that
Mm,
feel to you? Does that feel exhilarating, healthy, free? Okay, then that's probably something, a resistance that it's worth working out of and through.
mm,
If you envision going for the run and you're like, feel I just really don't like running. Like, it's just not interesting to me. I would much rather go biking. Okay, great.
go
Now
biking.
we
Yeah.
have some information, right? So actually
Mm,
physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually put yourself in the thing that you're resisting, because your
mm,
body will speak to you. Now I want you to be very, very, very aware though. Again, there's the awareness coming back. And I want you thinking about it. I want you feeling about it,
mm,
because your brain's going to get involved and it's going to want to tell you that you should. And maybe if I just try, and I don't want to disappoint so and so. Okay, we're not doing that. Okay.
mm,
I'm talking about 5 or 10 seconds. Just feel without thinking. And the answer, the real actual answer, is usually the thing that you feel right before your brain kicks in.
mm. The first impulse.
Yeah.
Mm,
And that is your truth. And I want you to start to trust it.
mm.
And if you start to trust that, you're going to get so much more clarity. You're going to feel less shitty about doing things,
Yeah.
right? You're going to be more curious about the things that do interest you, right? It just helps to simplify a lot of stuff. So I want you to remember that your truest answer is that feeling that you get in your body right before your brain starts talking to you.
Mm. And I assume the more you trust yourself, also the period grows longer before your brain starts to kick in.
Yeah, and it's just more clear, right? I mean,
Mm.
you're literally building a muscle. You're building a
Yeah.
new neuro pathway in your brain. So you got to learn how you feel, right? If that's not a typical go-to technique for you, then you have to give it some time to really grow and strengthen. But ultimately, you have to think about these things less
Mm,
right? It becomes more obvious right up front, or the time that it takes you to kind of evaluate it, that
mm,
time frame gets shorter, especially with just kind of some day-to-day stuff.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, this makes sense. So I'd say, yeah, awareness of your resistance is one part. And then we had the example, right? If your first impulse is like the somatic experience of like, oh, I fucking hate running. I biking sounds much more fun, which I mean, not for me, but I mean, hey, you do you. Um, it's from biking. I don't know. Biking is even worse than running to me. I just hate how my butt feels on a bike. Like it's
Well,
just painful.
it's not ideal. Yeah, I have an indoor bike. I'm actually looking at it right now because I haven't been on it in a while, and I'm like, oh, I actually really enjoy riding that. Why am I not riding that? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's
there you go. Yeah, yeah, there you go.
there's resistance again to things that you really enjoy. It's not always about the bad stuff. It's about the good stuff too.
Why is it about the good stuff too? Right? It's so funny how our minds work at times.
I mean, it's the Wild West up there,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
Like
It's just
there's a million reasons. If I'm sitting here and I'm literally looking at this bike right now, which I saved up for, I paid off diligently.
mm,
I became part of the community. I have instructors that I adore that inspire the hell out of me. I know that every single time that I get on it, my brain feels just as good as my body, minus my ass, because that seat does
mm,
hurt for the first couple of times. I know all those things, and yet I could not tell you the last time I got on it. So why do I resist that?
mm.
Right. And so for me in this particular scenario, and I'm just being really honest because we teach what we most need to learn, just so you know, like I'm familiar with this shit
Oh,
because I fight these same
yeah.
battles. So
Which also, yeah, makes total sense. I mean, otherwise it's just lead the blind leading the blind or something. Yeah, makes
yeah,
total sense. Mm.
I mean, a handful of the reasons, if I'm just spitting off the cuff here, why I might be resisting riding this bike. Well, it is more comfortable to hang out with my husband in the evening when I would typically ride it
Yeah.
than to get on the bike. I don't love getting showers. Look, I'm clean. Okay, I take care of myself, but I just don't like being in the water. So I know that every time I get on the bike, then I need to get in the shower, and I don't really like that, right? I know that I haven't
I'm the
rode in a
same, but I'm like with sorry, like I hate how long it takes me to dry my hair.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Makes me mental. And at the same time, I cannot rock short hair. Like it doesn't. I have too much thick hair. It just doesn't work. Yeah.
I
So.
hear you.
Mm,
I know that I haven't rode in a while, which means the first probably 3 to 5 rides are going to hurt my ass, which means I'm going to be in pain for a couple of days. So I'm not excited
yeah.
about doing that,
Yeah.
right? Like I could go on and on and on. And you know what those things become? Fucking excuses.
True.
Your resistance to the things that you really want become your excuses. And it's the
Mm,
ammo that you use to talk yourself out of things.
mm. So how
Even
can we
though,
bring Laura on the bike again?
how can we bring Laura on the bike? Well, after this conversation, I'm probably going to ride, to be honest with you. You know, it's what it boils down to is choosing to take a different action. Because you can have
Mm.
awareness all day long, you can think about things all day long, I can be super aware that I have not ridden that bike. That's not going to fucking do anything for me.
No.
It's not going to change anything. What's
Yeah.
going to change is getting into aligned action,
Yeah.
actually intentionally choosing
Yeah.
to step into
I
the
want to have a
temporary
different
discomfort.
outcome. Ergo, I need to do something different,
Yes.
which might mean go on a bike or something else. But
It means leaning into the temporary discomfort, the thing
mm,
that's going to actually free me and give me more of what I actually want.
mm,
So a little tactic that I like to use when my brain starts like getting funky and I want to talk myself out of good things is I'll just interrupt it by saying same or better. Do you want the same or better?
oh, mm.
Yeah, it's a little mind fuckery trick that I like to use
Oh, I
that
like it. Yeah.
it jars your brain just enough to be like, I don't want to feel the same. You know, I don't want to necessarily look the same, right? To me, it's not about the appearance, but like just how I feel internally. Like
Yeah.
Do I want the same or do I want better? Put on the damn shoes,
Mm,
get on the bike, and in 25 minutes, you're going to be like, why have I not been doing this?
mm,
Because I feel so fucking much better. Right. So
mm.
that's a little trick that I would encourage you to use to kind of interrupt that pattern, right? To
Yeah.
like kind of turn
Yeah,
it
I
on
like
its
it.
head, same or better.
And I mean, this goes for everything, right? It's so universal. I mean, if you, I don't know, want to make more money in your business and you're like, I don't want to do, like, I don't want to reach out to my network. I don't want to do whatever marketing thingy that I know is successful for my business, works for my business. Do you want to have make the same amount of money or do you want to make more?
Yep.
Same or more. I love it. Yeah. That's a good. I see. Yeah. My brain would be quite happy with this. Yeah.
I like to
Gonna
keep
steal this.
yeah, please do. I like to keep things as simple as possible
Yeah.
because our other tendency as human beings is to make things insanely complicated. And then tell me if this resonates with you. We make it complicated. Then we try to do
Yes.
the thing. Then we get discouraged by the thing. So we stop doing the thing. And then we get mad about with ourselves for not doing the thing. So now we have more ammo as to why we can't do the thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got a whole arsenal of ammo.
So
Yeah.
let's make this shit simple. Okay. So when you feel that resistance, right? Get aware, notice it, give it a place at the table, right? It just wants to be recognized. Let's stop
Mm.
pushing it off. Let's stop hiding it. Give it a chance to actually speak to you for a second.
Yeah. Welcome it in. Welcome it to the
Okay.
table.
I mean,
Have a seat. Yeah.
it's
It's
here
here
anyway.
anyway. It's not gonna go away.
Might as well invite it to dinner. Like
Yeah.
let it in. Notice those things. Unpack the
It's like
resistance
your
a little
creepy
bit.
uncle who invites himself to a Christmas
Well,
party.
no,
Like,
we don't want him, but notice the resistance, get to know, like, is put yourself in the position of actually
mm,
doing or having the thing that you're resisting, and then make a choice, same or better, right?
mm.
And all of
Yeah.
this can happen, by the way, in like a very short period of time. You don't have to go off into the woods and meditate unless you feel called to. You don't have to like do a whole practice. You don't have to go buy a special journal that has the right cover on it to feel these
Wait,
emotions, right?
what? There's no outside solution to our inside problems? Come on,
I
what?
know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be the spoiler alert.
Man, but that's what capitalism taught me.
Well, it's a whole nother conversation.
I know, but I really like this type of conversation
Yeah.
too.
You know, it's it can be simple. Let it be simple. Our
Ah,
our
yeah.
our our
Let it be
brains,
simple. Mm.
our bodies think that if it's easy, it's not working. If it's easy, there must be more. If it's
That
easy,
must be a trick or
a
something.
trick, something's falling
Mm.
apart, right? Okay, let's unpack that. Let's untrain ourselves from that belief as well. Because
How do
those
you think that?
shifts,
Why do you think that is? That if that we mistake something as simple as like not as a trick or as a mind fuckery or like why do you think that is?
well, I mean, it goes back to the earlier conversation about the way that we've been taught and trained,
Mm,
the things that we see, the information that we absorb.
yeah.
And there's just this perception that like ease is lazy. You know,
Mm.
if you're not working
You have to
hard,
work hard for things, like a very Protestant kind of work ethic. You have to work hard for
yes.
things, otherwise they're not worth anything.
Yeah. And also, I mean, many of us have been operating in that hustle or chaos for 20, 25 years.
True.
So when you start doing things with ease and all of a sudden you have white space in your calendar, right? All of a sudden things don't take you as long, right? You're not compiling stuff on. It's almost this like, oh, like what's wrong, right? I need to do more. I need to fix
Yeah.
something. I need to put out a fire. I need to
You
show up
start your
more,
own
right?
fires and you start
Oh
like
yeah.
creating things to fix.
We are our own fire starters, that's for sure. So it takes some time to get used to going from living in chaos to
Mm.
living in calmness. It's a transition period.
Can we
I'm
do
in it.
something to
I'm it.
make that more like that transition more, I don't know, smoother or I don't know, more accessible, easier on us?
Well, I'll tell you this. I am currently living right now in that phase.
Mm.
I am learning right now to go from living and working in chaos to accepting my new lifestyle and my new business model in calmness and white space. And I
Mm.
tell you that my body wants to fight it. Like I'm like, right? Like I can literally feel myself leaning in, and it's constant shifting. It literally is reintroducing a new way of life. Like it didn't get like this overnight. I
Mm-hmm.
can't expect to just flip the switch and have it be a different way tomorrow, right? I have to I
Patience.
I practice what I preach, right? I
Mm.
practice the methods and the techniques that I teach all of my clients. So, I went from running 3 businesses to one.
Mm.
I sold 2 businesses that were taking up a lot of my time, money, energy, resources, 2 things that had served its time and purpose. And now I'm fully focused on the thing that I actually really want to do. And
Mm.
it's a new territory, right? I'm not used to having all this time, and I'm not used to being able to focus. So I'm relearning how I even work and what works well for me and just trying different techniques. And I think the biggest thing is just giving myself compassion while I'm doing it.
Mm. Yes.
Not making it mean anything, not
Yeah.
kicking my own ass about anything. Just that, hey, Laura, we've been pretty stressed out and running in fight or flight for the last 20 years. This is going to take a hot minute. And
Yeah.
this
As you
time,
said before, it's a muscle, right? We got to train it, and until it's just becomes second nature, and until that moment like flips, we will feel resistance
yeah.
upon resistance upon resistance.
And I think that one of the biggest differences, honestly, for me in this season is that I'm choosing to be more kind and compassionate with myself. Like
Mm.
I notice it, and then I'm like I'm giving myself my own personal pep talks, right? I'm noticing and I'm
Yeah.
aware of my habits and what I'm doing and how I'm working, and I'm like, even like all the things that I needed to accomplish this week are done as of right now.
Yeah.
And I looked at my calendar and I was like, there's nothing on for tomorrow. So I'm just going to do whatever I feel like doing tomorrow. I'm not going to work. I'm going to block out my schedule. And that's okay. And for like a split second, I was like, well, what if someone needs me? Or what if I don't comment on this? And then I was like, it's going to be okay. The thing
Yeah.
that here, bring this full circle. The thing that I wanted the most was calmness and white space in my world. And I
Yeah.
resisted it by packing my calendar, taking on too much, and dividing my time.
Mm.
So now I'm living in the thing that I want the most, but it takes time to integrate that into my world.
Yeah.
So I'm choosing to have compassion for myself and to
Mm.
know that it takes a little bit and it takes practice. I've never done this before like this.
Yeah.
And I have to give myself time and grace to learn.
Yes. I yeah, beautiful. I'm so yes, it does need all of that, but it's also, and that's, I sometimes when I ask people like my clients, well, what do you want? They look at me with this like blank stare, like I don't know, I'm like sent from Dune or something, or just some weird alien shit, and they're like, I get this gaze, and sometimes it's funny how you said we want to take aligned action, and that kind of requires us to really think about, okay, what do we want, right? You said you want to have white space for your business, so we also need time to actually figure out, what do we want, what
Yeah.
do we really want, and why is that often such a hard question?
Because we have a tendency to put everyone else's needs in front of our own.
Mm, yeah. Mom guilt again. Yeah, I hate
Well, mom guilt,
it. Yeah, yeah.
friendships,
Friendship guilt, girl
clients,
guilt, woman guilt. I don't know.
yeah, just
It's great.
so, when I ask my clients the same thing, what do you actually want? It's the
Mm,
same response. It's
yeah.
it's a blank stare, or it's quickly followed by, no one's ever asked me that before. I've never
Yes.
I've never stopped and thought about that. I have no idea because I've never really felt into that before, right?
Mm,
It's like it doesn't even dawn on women that they're allowed to even think about what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're presented with that question, all of a sudden it's like they're staring at a blank wall, and it's like, where do I even begin? I have no idea. And I
Yeah.
think that that's such a profound exercise to go through of
Mm-hmm.
rediscovering, who you really are and what you actually want, because
Yeah.
those are the key indicators on how you can make decisions moving forward too.
Yeah. And this is such a cliche, but I had this like, uh, I think, yeah, 3 years after giving birth to my kid, I was like, I mean, the first 3 years, I don't know, almost like running on autopilot, on like, not enough sleep, too much caffeine, and I don't know, just,
Those first 3 years are
which is fine, right? It's the season and it's all good. But then he started kindergarten and there were more chunks of time. And I was like, okay, those are the chunks of time I'm looking forward to do shit I want to do. And now they're here. And I don't know, I could fold the laundry. No, bitch, you don't want to do fold the laundry. What do you want to do? And there's
yeah.
like, I don't know. I actually don't know. I have to kind of like refigure it out and be like, that's what I used to enjoy. Do I still enjoy it? I don't know. Let's see and try to kind of figure out what I really want, because I haven't been yeah, there wasn't really on a bigger scale. It wasn't a season to do this.
Right. Yeah, I think that there's a period of um exploring and experimenting, right?
Mm,
Especially if you're like, I just truly don't know what I want. Okay, that's fine. That's where we're starting,
yeah,
right? No shame with that, no guilt with that.
yeah.
So let's start with something small, right? Let's start to introduce this into your body, because what I want you to start doing is learning how to say yes to yourself.
Mm,
That's what it boils down to. And so in your scenario, you're like, oh, I have this chunk of time. I could fold laundry. But you know what I was thinking about the other day? I could really just like go sit at a coffee house and drink an iced coffee and just like people watch. Like I would really love to just do that.
that is
Okay.
nice. Yeah.
Right. So in that moment, it's like, what do I actually really want in this
Mm,
moment?
yeah.
This singular moment. I really want the iced coffee.
Yeah.
So I want you to get in your car or walk downtown or whatever your means of travel are.
Mm.
And I want you to
And
choose.
shamelessly have that coffee.
I want you to choose to shamelessly have the coffee.
Mm.
And it's probably going to feel a little uncomfortable for a while. You might be shifty in your seat, but after a little bit of time, you're going to be like, oh,
Mm.
like that was fun. That was interesting. I feel better. And chances are, honestly, when you feel better like that, you're probably going to go home and plow out that load of laundry anyway, but it's going to take you like a third of the amount of time that it would have taken you prior. Right. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to do that, but I'm just saying that when you re energize yourself and you do
Mm-hmm.
say yes to you,
Yeah.
the other like mundane or typical tasks that you might have to do don't seem so daunting or
Mm.
irritating anymore, because you have fulfillment
Yeah.
outside of your roles and
Yeah.
responsibilities.
It's really the whole like put the seat belt on you first kind of thing, and you can't pour from an empty cup, right? But it's just, yeah. But I mean, it's
We've all heard it, but it's
silly Pinterest cross stitch quote, but I mean, it's just true, right? I mean, I know when I'm more like centered and with myself in the present moment, I will not snap at my kid for just being an annoying 4-year-old at times.
yeah.
And I just acknowledge that, yeah, he's a 4-year-old and he does stuff that 4-year-olds do. And yes, it annoys the crap out of me, but I have just more chill.
You've got more runway,
Yeah.
right? You're
Yes.
few you
Yes.
you've added on to the fuse,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Whereas the
Yes. Very good. Yes. I love this image. Yes. It's much longer. And
yes,
other times it's really tiny, tiny short. And it just needs a, whew, and it,
yes. But what I want you and everyone that's listening to hear and remember though is that you have to choose to lengthen the fucking cord.
yeah, no one's
Because if
gonna
you
lengthen it for you.
if you continuously push yourself to the edge of that, ultimately you're choosing that. Okay. And I'm not saying that it's easy, and I'm not saying that it's
No, it's
just
an
like
uncomfortable truth. It's an
it
uncomfortable truth.
really is, but it is the truth. So
Mhm.
you've got to be willing. And I'm telling you, it's the big shifts that you're looking to feel, that whatever that shift, change, difference in your world that you're looking for does not happen from a one big thing. Could it? Maybe. But the more realistic way that this
Mhm.
happens is by the little singular moments. Each individual decision, it adds up to that bigger change
Yeah,
where
every time you
ultimately
choose to like react different than what might have been your first, not the first instant, but if you want to snap because your fuse is short and you want to snap and you're like, wait, hold on. No, I'm gonna do something else.
yeah, it you have to take accountability for yourself,
Mm,
right? Like there's all kinds of external things that are certainly contributing to how you're feeling, but at the end of the day you have got to take accountability for yourself, because I
mm.
can't come and make you go get that coffee. I mean, as your coach, I could certainly coach you through that to get
Yeah, I
to
mean,
it.
yes, and I mean your best friend can can do that one or two times, but at some point she's like, "Bitch, please."
You you've got to be willing to do it, and that's
Yeah.
those bigger changes happen through your
Yeah.
small decisions. The ones that you're probably thinking are tiny and insignificant are probably some of the most profound ones.
Mm. Yeah, again, because we're trying to overcomplicate things, and it's probably just really like the teeny tiny bits. I'm just thinking of like something that my friend told me the other day. Um she really wanted to have pizza. She really wanted to order a pizza for takeout. Um and then we were talking on the phone, and then someone was like, "Oh, okay." Like the other day, and I was like, "Oh, how was the pizza? I know you said you wanted pizza. Like you told me the whole fucking day." And she's like, "Oh, we didn't end up having pizza." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Why not? Like you were talking about pizza the whole day." And she's like, "Well, I mean, the family decided to like order, I don't know, something else." And I'm like, "Well, you could have ordered from two places.
Order the pizza.
What's the problem? Like order pizza for you and order, I don't know, Chinese for the family. Like what?" Uh... But this just it didn't
It didn't
occur to her
even.
mind.
Yeah,
She was looking at me like mind blown, or like I could hear her mind be blown over the phone.
yeah.
It's
It's
stuff
it's
like that, right? Like,
yes. It's that it's not even giving yourself the chance to choose for yourself or to even think about that, because in that moment she's like, okay, majority rules. That's what everyone else wants. This will make
yeah.
everyone else happy.
Yeah.
The kids
It
will
would
be
just be
happy.
more
What are
expensive with like two like delivery charges,
I
whatever.
don't want to I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I don't want to run two people out here, right? All that. Okay, stop it. Order the fucking pizza
Mm.
and look at how much joy that puts in, right? And again, this goes back to, it's the most simplistic of things. Can a pizza change your life? Probably not your whole life, but is it going to put goodness into you because it's what you've been
Mm.
wanting and craving all day long? It's going to fill up
Yeah.
your tank a little bit further. It's going to
Can you
strengthen.
make them can it make that moment you're in better?
Yes, it can.
Same or better?
Can it lengthen the cord? There you go. Same or
Yeah.
better. Okay, so
Mm.
let's order the pizza, my friends.
I don't know. I mean, I really like pizza. It has to be gluten free for me because I have celiacs, which is like,
Same, same.
no way. Oh, another 84 baby with celiacs. I
Look,
love it.
I'm convinced
Girl,
it's all those fucking TV dinners that we ate.
I can't say that for me. My most likely cause of celiacs, as far as I'm currently aware, is untreated endometriosis for years,
Ah,
which sparked other chronic inflammation
inflammation.
diseases and
Yeah,
stuff,
I
which
can relate.
loved this
I
journey
can
for
relate.
me. Um, yeah. Oh, what are the odds, girl? What are the odds? This is so funny. But
It's just,
again, I really like pizza, so I don't think there are any better closing words than just go and order the fucking pizza.
yep, there it is.
Yeah, right. I mean, Laura, I feel I could talk to you for ages, and yeah, we probably will be back. Let's,
I
if
hope
you
so.
want to come back. If people want to hear more about you and your love for gluten-free pizza and all things whatnot, where can people find you? Where you hang out online?
Yeah. So I hang out on Facebook and TikTok the most. My
Mhm.
handle is at that LauraAura. And if you are interested in learning more about how to get out of your own way, I break down the process way more in depth. I've got a free 5-day private podcast. So it's not public on the Gutsy
Yeah.
podcast. It's actually a private one. If you go
Ooh,
to
I love
Laura,
this.
yeah, if you go to lauraaura.com/foundations, I'm
I'm
going to
gonna
teach
link
it.
it in the show notes for
I'm going to
sure.
teach you the foundational way of how to get out of your own way.
Ooh, I really like this like this private podcast thingy, so you can just listen to it. That's a really cool way instead of just having like a PDF or something.
Yeah,
I like it.
thank you. It was another process of resistance. And then I was like, why don't I just do it in the way that I resonate the most? And turns out that shit works. So, fun fact.
Again, yeah, like make it as simple and as smooth as possible for you. And if you know audio works for you, just do audio. Like,
And it works for my audience too. So,
mm,
it's a win win. So, yeah, lauraaura.com/foundations.
very good. Before I let you go, I always have one last question. What book are you currently reading, or what audiobook are you currently listening to?
Oh, I just finished Rachel Rogers. Where is, hold on. She has a book called We Should All Be Millionaires, and I've read that several times.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. Definitely
Yeah.
recommend listening because she
I
just,
love the audiobook too. She is
yeah,
good. Yeah.
I like to hear her energy in it.
Yeah.
But she just did an Audible original. Okay, I got it. Okay, so Rachel Rogers, it's an Audible original. It's called $1 Million Habits.
Oh.
So she's got that same awesome zest from We Should All
Mm-hmm.
Be Millionaires, but
Yeah.
in this, she breaks down like the steps and habits
Oh.
to creating your $1 million business. So I really love her authenticity, and I just wrapped that up and
Yeah, I really
definitely
enjoy listening
recommend.
to her too. She has certain something
Yes,
great. Well, Laura, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and being with me on the scenic road. Thank you so much.
I thank you.